Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I want to start this video with a number, $1.26 million. That's what the average American says they think they need to retire comfortably. And the median retirement savings across all families right now? $87,000. That's not a typo. The gap between what people think they need and what they actually have is over $1 million. And most people have no plan to close it. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 investment reality checks that I genuinely believe every person needs to hear. Not to scare you, not to make you feel behind, but because the data is telling a story that most people aren't paying attention to. And the sooner you hear it, the more time you have to do something about it. Let's get into it. Reality check number 1. Most Americans are dramatically behind on retirement savings. And I mean dramatically. Here's what the actual numbers look like broken down by generation. The average Gen Z worker under 25 has about $7,300 saved for retirement. Millennials between 26 and 35 have a median of around $91,000, which sounds decent until you realize the recommended amount by age 40 is over $200,000. Gen X, the people closest to retirement age in their 40s and 50s, have an average of around $313,000 when they should be closer to $600,000. And baby boomers who are already at or past retirement age have a median of $432,000, which sounds like a lot until you realize that at typical withdrawal rates, that runs out in about 15 years. Only 35% of Americans feel on track for retirement. That number was already 40% just a few years ago, and it's going in the wrong direction. And here's the part that should genuinely motivate you if you're younger. A 25-year-old putting just $200 a month into a broad index fund at a 7% average return ends up with over $1.3 million by age 65. Wait until 35 to start, just 10 years later, and that same $200 a month produces $611,000. Same contribution, same return, $400,000 difference, just from waiting 10 years. The math on starting early is not subtle. Reality check number 2. You are probably going to live longer than you think, and that changes everything. The average retirement now lasts 18 to 20 years. But a lot of people are living 25 to 30 years past when they stop working. If you retire at 62 and live to 90, which is increasingly common, that is 28 years of retirement, potentially longer than your entire working career. And those years are expensive. Healthcare costs keep rising faster than inflation. Long-term care, nursing home care, if you ever need it, averages over $100,000 per year. Social Security alone is not going to cover your basic living expenses in most parts of the country. This is why the old investment advice of getting more conservative as you age needs to be reconsidered. The traditional rule of subtracting your age from 100 to determine your stock allocation is outdated. Many advisors now recommend maintaining 60 to 70% in equities well into retirement, because if your money needs to last 30 years, it needs to keep growing. Reality check number 3, pensions are essentially gone, and almost nobody is talking about what that actually means. Only 13% of non-union private sector workers have access to a traditional pension. That number used to be the majority. An entire generation of workers had a guaranteed monthly paycheck for life, no matter what the market did. That world no longer exists for most people. What replaced it is the 401k, which means you are now personally responsible for making investment decisions, managing market risk, and figuring out how to turn a pile of savings into income that lasts the rest of your life. And most people received zero education on how to do any of that. The result is predictable. People keep everything in ultra-conservative money market funds and miss decades of growth. They don't capture their full employer match, which is literally free money being left on the table. They cash out their 401k when they change jobs instead of rolling it over. They never rebalance. And then they wonder why the math doesn't work out. Treat your retirement accounts like a part-time job. Set aside real time every month to review what you have, make sure your allocations still make sense, and make sure you're not making avoidable mistakes. Reality check number 4. Planning to work in retirement is not a retirement strategy. More than half of all workers across every generation say they plan to work at least part-time in retirement. And some people genuinely want to, for purpose, for structure, for social connection. That's completely valid, but a lot of people plan to work in retirement because they have to, because their savings won't be enough. And that's a fundamentally different situation. Here's the problem with counting on part-time work in retirement. Your health may not cooperate. The job market for older workers is not always welcoming. Part-time work rarely comes with health insurance. And if you claim Social Security early while still working, your benefits get reduced. If your retirement plan includes the phrase, "I'll just keep working," I want you to sit with that for a second, because what that often means is your investment strategy during your working years wasn't aggressive enough. The goal is to make work in retirement a choice, not a financial requirement. Reality check number 5. Social Security is a foundation, not a plan. The average Social Security benefit right now is about $1,976 per month. For an individual, that's roughly $23,000 a year. The federal poverty line for a single person is around $15,000. So yes, the average Social Security benefit is above the poverty line, but not by as much as most people assume, and not by enough to fund a comfortable retirement in most parts of the country. The maximum benefit, which only goes to high earners who work full careers and delay claiming until age 70, is just under $4,900 a month. Most people will get significantly less than that. And there is genuine uncertainty about the future of the program. Without congressional action, the Social Security Trust Fund faces potential depletion in the early 2030s, which would trigger automatic benefit reductions. That may or may not happen. But here's the mindset I'd recommend. Plan as if Social Security won't exist. Build a retirement strategy that works without it. Then anything you receive from Social Security is a bonus on top of a plan that already works. Reality check number 6. Staying out of the market is not the safe choice. This is one of the most common misunderstandings in personal finance. People think keeping their money in cash or a savings account is the conservative safe option. But safe from what? Because what cash is not safe from is inflation slowly eating away its purchasing power year after year. Here's the historical record. Since World War II, the S&P 500 has had only 15 negative yearly returns out of 72 years. The market has never suffered more than 3 consecutive down years. The 2008 financial crisis, the worst in a generation, was followed by a full recovery within 5 years. The COVID crash of March 2020 hit new all-time highs within 6 months. The 2022 bear market was followed by back-to-back years of 24 and 25% gains. Time in the market consistently beats timing the market. Every year you spend waiting for the right moment to invest is a year of compounding you can never get back. And the right moment, historically speaking, is almost always as soon as possible. Reality check number 7. And I know this one is going to ruffle some feathers. The pet versus portfolio paradox. About 54% of Americans own stocks. About 48% own dogs. Those numbers are closer than they should be. And I want to be clear that this is not about telling people not to have pets. It's about understanding the true cost of our lifestyle choices. The average lifetime cost of dog ownership is somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000. Average annual pet expenses run $1,500 to $3,000 a year. That money generates no return. It builds no wealth. It produces no future income. Now here's the math. If you took just $2,000 a year, which is a pretty average annual pet cost, and invested it in a broad market index fund at historical 10% returns over 30 years, you'd end up with approximately $328,000. That is a meaningful portion of a retirement account from a single decision. Again, this is not about pets. It's about financial literacy. Understanding the real opportunity cost of where your money goes so you can make intentional decisions that align with what you actually want your future to look like. And reality check number 8, patient investing in quality companies and index funds builds extraordinary wealth over time. I want to give you some real numbers from the last decade because I think they put things in perspective. Microsoft went from around $40 a share in 2015 to over $420 by 2025. That's a 950% return. Apple, 800%. Tesla, over 500%. Nvidia. And this one is almost hard to believe, over 4,000% in 10 years. Now, those are individual stocks, and most people shouldn't be picking individual stocks with the majority of their portfolio. But here's the point. The total stock market index has delivered around 12% annualized returns over the last decade, around 10% over 20 and 30-year periods. A $500 monthly investment in a total market index fund starting at age 25 would likely produce over $1.6 million by age 65. Not from being a genius stock picker, not from finding the next NVIDIA, just from putting $500 a month into a boring index fund and leaving it alone. All right, so let's land this. 8 reality checks. The retirement savings gap is massive and getting worse. You're going to live longer than you think and need more money than you expect. Pensions are gone, and you are now your own retirement fund manager. Planning to work in retirement is not a strategy, it's a symptom. Social Security is a foundation, not a solution. Staying in cash is not safe. It's just a different kind of risk. Every lifestyle dollar has an opportunity cost worth understanding, and patient, consistent, boring investing builds real wealth over time. The tools to fix all of this have never been more accessible. Low-cost index funds, automated investing, tax-advantaged accounts, compound interest that works in your favor every single day you're invested. The question isn't whether you can afford to start investing. Based on everything we just went through, the real question is whether you can afford not to. Start this week. Open an account if you don't have one. Set up automatic contributions. Capture your employer match if you have one. Even small amounts. Even imperfect. Because the cost of waiting, as we've now seen 8 different ways, is enormous. If this video was valuable to you, drop a like and subscribe. I put out videos on investing and personal finance every single week. And tell me in the comments which of these 8 reality checks hit hardest for you. I read everything. I'll see you in the next one.